It's nice to see some of the familiar names again. I hope your year has been going well. So this morning, we have a very interesting topic. Before we start, let me just introduce myself to those people that's new. So I am Cecilia Denton. I'm from PTS Consulting. We do psychometric assessment, and I'm an industrial psychologist. And let me just jump to there. So I'm an industrial psychologist, and we do psychometric assessment, but we do HR support together with the HR Talk. And HR Talk arranged this webinar for us. Sorry, just let me check. Okay, brilliant. All right, so what we're going to talk about in this presentation today is the psychology behind conspiracy theories. All right, so I'm glad that all of you linked in, because it means that there is an interest in it. And I'm going to explain to you why I thought this was a good idea. So what we will be covering today, a little bit of a background, and then we're going to look at the definition of a conspiracy theory. Why do conspiracy theories thrive? Is it a human need? Who believes in it? Why do we believe in it? And then a little bit about skepticism, why that is also good. And how can you become a critical news consumer so that you're not just on the receiving end of any story that comes your way? All right, so let me give you a little bit of background. So my motivation for today's webinar is not to convince you of any specific point of view, but it's to shed light on what is happening in the current moment. So my first priority is to alleviate some of your big stresses that you may have. So I'm not going to say that I particularly believe in it or don't believe in it. For me, it's about the stress part of it. I want to alleviate more stress. There's already too much stress. And I want to see how some of the conspiracy theories fits in with that. And then I've spoken to multiple people who are concerned about the theories that are out there and how helpless, demotivated, and stressed it makes them feel. So I do think that you will find the actual reason behind why people believe in conspiracy theories rather interesting. Now, it is very interesting that the research has shown that because people are in uncertain times, they grab onto conspiracy theories. But it is interesting that for me personally, I don't know how other people feel, it actually makes me worry more. So it's quite a contradictory area, because it would be interesting to know what it is that you feel about it. Do a conspiracy theory actually make you feel more in control, or does it worry you more? Because for me personally, definitely, it actually makes me worry more, because I feel like I don't have control over whoever is conspiring against me. So let's look at more like background of what has been happening, why this is very interesting. So over the past year, as COVID-19 rocketed around the world, conspiracy theories quickly followed. So I found this very interesting, but apparently last year, dozens of cell phone towers were set aflame across Europe amidst conspiracy theories that the 5G towers were spreading COVID-19. So I don't know if you read about this, but I found that was very interesting. That really tells you that the fear is real. And then in January, a Wisconsin pharmacist was charged with deliberately destroying hundreds of doses of newly available COVID-19 vaccines because he believed a conspiracy theory that the vaccine would change human DNA. And then lastly, some people are asserting that the virus itself is engineered by the Chinese. Now, remember, I'm not saying that it's true or not, because I really do not know. But these are the stories that's out there and that's happening. But I also want to make you aware of the consequences of things that's happening. So who is most likely to believe in them and why? And is there any way to combat conspiracy theories once they are out there? And what are the consequences for individuals and societies when they spread? So as you can see, some of the consequences could actually harm us more. All right, so let's firstly look at the definition of a conspiracy theory. So a conspiracy theory can normally be defined as a proposed plot carried out in secret, usually by a powerful group of people who have some kind of sinister goal. So something to gain from what they're doing, and they usually don't have people's best interest at heart. Usually it's their own interest at heart. So that would now be the true definition of a conspiracy theory. So that's like how we would formally define it. So conspiracy theories increase in prevalence in periods of widespread anxiety, uncertainty, or hardships, as during wars and economic depressions, and in the aftermath of natural disasters like tsunamis, earthquakes, and pandemics. The fact is evidenced by the profusion of conspiracy theories that emerged in the wake of September 11 attacks in 2001, and by more than 2,000 volumes on the US President JF Kennedy's assassination. You all remember President Kennedy's assassination. There was really a lot of stories. Up to today, we actually don't really know what's going on there. So this suggests that conspirational thinking is driven by strong human desire to make sense of social forces that are self-relevant, important, and threatening. So that is just to describe a situation usually in which it comes forward. All right, so the content of conspiracy theories is usually emotionally laden, and its alleged discovery can be gratifying. So the evidentiary standards for corroborating conspiracy theories are typically weak, and they are usually resistant to falsification. The survivability of conspiracy theories may be aided by psychological biases and by distrust of official sources. So remember, we will always have our own psychological biases. It depends on what it is that worries you. So whatever worries you, you will go into that direction. But of course, distrust of official sources. I think in South Africa at the moment, there's a lot of distrust. So if we are thinking about things that could possibly go wrong, remember it is because if there's distrust, it was caused by those officials to be mistrusting, or we cannot trust them. That's usually why this starts. So, it goes both ways. So when do conspiracy theories thrive? So some people think that the belief in conspiracy theorists have been on the rise in recent years, fueled by social media, but it was concluded that it wasn't necessarily true. Of course, the social media part is quite important. Conspiracy theories have always thrived during times of crisis and social upheaval, with examples going as far back as the burning of Rome while Nero was away, and that the last decade hasn't been particularly more conspiracy prone than the last. So that already, I don't know about you, but it already makes me feel better to know that conspiracy theories is not the latest thing. It didn't pop up now. This is not happening just now. This has been going far back. Social media makes it maybe worse, but it's always been around. Social media can spread it faster, however. It can spread it faster, but it's always been there and it always spread. So believing in conspiracy theories and being suspicious about the actions of others in some ways are quite an adaptive thing to do. So can you see that happens automatically? It's an adaptive thing to do, is to start becoming mistrusting of others. Not that those people, if you are mistrusting of a different entity, they probably caused it. So it's not just us that's doing wrong in believing it or making up the story. We don't necessarily want to trust everybody and trust everything that is happening around us. So let's look at the bottom part here. Do conspiracy theories increase in times of crisis? So this is my answer. Yes, but then again, conspiracy theories has always been around. Always. It's not worse now. Social media has an influence on how people access information. It has a big way of spreading the information, and then people can become consumed by this information. And at this point in time, we mostly get our information online. That's where we get it. That's why I think it spreads faster. But I don't think there's any more conspiracy theories. It's always been there, but it does spread faster and there's more information online. More people can put their own information and thoughts online. So I just think there's way more information available. So we are often inclined to disregard sources that contradict our thinking, and therefore our thinking becomes polarized. So later on in this presentation, I'm going to show you how to do research better, because it does become polarized. If you believe, and let's take a good example. If you believe Oscar Pistorius, Was it an accident, what happened, or was it on purpose? Say, for example, you want to research it was an accident. You are going to start searching only that information. You're not going to be likely to be reading the opposite, because also the internet, the engines will throw out more articles automatically that's related to what it is that you're searching. So that is the part where you can start thinking. If you believe in one thing, make sure that you also read the opposites. Even if you don't like this part, read both of them, read everything. But we are likely to just start reading the one. Okay, is this a human need? People turn into to conspiracy theories when important psychological needs aren't being met. So this was written by Professor Douglas. She's pretty good. If you Google her, she's very good on all the topics of conspiracy theory. So her research shows that such narratives can fulfill our need for certainty and security. For instance, when events seem random, and for social belonging. So once again, I know they say it's to feel certain and secure. Some of the stories that I've heard don't make me feel comfortable. It makes me stress. That is why for me, it's weird. This is why I wanted to talk about this. And you must please put your comments on the chat section, because I would like to know what other people are feeling about this. How does it make them feel? If you think that the COVID virus was engineered by the Chinese, does that make you feel better or worse? Because they say that this is where it comes from, is for the need to feel certain and secure. All right, but secondly, conspiracy theories make people feel as though they have some sort of control over the world. They can be psychologically reassuring, especially in uncertain times. So this is what actual research found. So I would like to know if the people that's joining us today or people in South Africa feels the same. So conspiracy theories, the background behind it, it comes from a place where they feel uncertain and it makes them feel more certain. Okay, so who believes in it? So remember, I also have a lot of friends and family that some believe in it, some don't. So I've got a whole wide range of people that support it, that doesn't support it, that sort of don't know where they stand on it. So I have a variety of people in my life. So some evidence suggests a link between personality and conspiracy theories. So Sorna Bowes, a clinical psychology doctoral student at Emory University, and a colleague surveyed nearly 2,000 people and found that those lower on agreeableness, conscientiousness, and humility were more likely to embrace both general conspiracy theories. So a general conspiracy theory would be, for example, a statement like the government is hiding something from us, versus a concrete theory, for instance, the Apollo moon landings were fake. So there's the vague one, the government is hiding something from us. And then there's more concrete ones, like a specific one, the moon landing didn't happen. So they say that people lower on agreeableness, conscientiousness, and humility are more likely to embrace. Now, I have to tell you, I know that this is their research, but I know people who support some of this, and they are very nice, kind-hearted people. So I really think it depends. It depends on maybe also what you do about the information. Maybe it also depends on what the person's motive is when they spread it. Because I've heard people saying things that I really think is just even silly. And the people that tell me that are good people, nice people, I work with them, I see them, they're normal. So maybe it's just information that's also passing, and they're also just trying to make something of it, and it comes and it goes. So remember, everyone that believes in a conspiracy theory is not going to be someone that doesn't have empathy and someone that's cold-hearted and whatever. So, but I just think that the study in particular, I think for the majority of people, it would be that. So then people with pathological personality scores, such as high grandiosity or very low self-esteem. So now we're looking more towards the narcissistic type of people. We're even more likely to support conspirational narratives. So, and I think once again, it depends. It maybe depends on how strong they believe in it, take it and run with it. Any type of person will hear it, obviously, maybe try and make something of it, and it maybe also will come and it will go. So I think we need to put it also in perspective. So is this a human need? So this is what I found very interesting. And this was Professor Douglas's research. There are 3 reasons why people are drawn to conspiracy theories. I like that terminology because all of us that hear it and process it, we are drawn to it, and maybe we want to find out what it's all about, but it doesn't mean that we make it up and spread it maliciously. So let's look at people that may entertain it. So we argue that people are drawn to conspiracy theories in order to satisfy, or in an attempt to satisfy, 3 important psychological motives. So let's look at the first motive, the epistemic motive. This means the epistemic motives really just refer to the need for knowledge and certainty, and I guess the motive or desire to have information. And when something major happens, when a big event happens, people naturally want to know why that happened. They want an explanation, and they want to know the truth, but they also want to feel certain of that truth. And remember, if someone dies or something bad happens in your life, people are so likely to say, but why did that happen to me? So that's not a conspiracy theory. That's just an event. But the first thing that people do is they want to try and make sense of why did it happen. So can you see that it's quite a normal knee-jerk reaction to the event that is happening? So second point there, some psychological evidence suggests that people are drawn to conspiracy theories when they do feel uncertain, either in specific situations or more general. So once again, the uncertainty comes out. And then there are some other epistemic reasons why people believe in conspiracy theories, as well in relation to the sort of need for knowledge and uncertainty. And so people with lower levels of education tend to be drawn to conspiracy theories. And very importantly, they don't argue that this is because people are not intelligent. It's simply because they haven't been allowed to, or have or haven't been given access to the tools to allow them to differentiate between good sources and bad sources of information, credible sources and non-credible sources. So that is very, very important. If you just Google everything and you don't systematically think about what you're doing, you will be Googling the stuff that you want to see. You're not going to broadly research everything. So this is something that everyone can do. Resource credible sources, differentiate between good and bad sources. So they're looking for that knowledge and certainty, but not necessarily looking in the right places. So this is a very, very important point. All right, let's look at the second psychological motive. So the second set of motives we would call existential motive. And they are really, they just refer to people's needs to be or feel safe and secure in the world that they are in, and also to feel that they have some kind of power of autonomy over things that is happening to them as well. And so again, when something happens, people don't feel like they're powerless. They don't feel out of control. And so reaching to conspiracy theories might at least allow people to feel that they have information that at least explains why they don't have any control over the situation. So research has shown that people who do feel powerless and disillusioned tend to gravitate more towards conspiracy theory. So remember now also, this does not mean that some of the conspiracy theories may be correct. I'm going to show you an example later down in this section. But I can tell you that personally, I have decided that if there's quite a lot of theories currently running around, I have decided that I'm not going to entertain anything that makes me feel more stressed or worried or that doesn't make sense. If I don't have control over anything, I'm going to leave it alone. If let's go back to the example of the Chinese. If they did engineer this thing, there's nothing I can do about it, and therefore I leave it alone. Because this is, I think, my whole thing about the conspiracy theory thing. Although they say it makes people feel more in control, for me personally, I didn't like that. So, but they do say this as a reason. Research has shown that people who do feel powerless and disillusioned may gravitate towards it because it makes them feel a little bit more in control. There's a reason for it. All right. There is a last psychological motive, and this is called the social motive. So this refers to people's desire to feel good about themselves as individuals and also feel good about themselves in terms of the groups that they belong to. So at individual level, people like to have a high self-esteem. They like to feel good about themselves. And potentially one way of doing that is to feel that you have access to information that other people don't have. This also happens at group level. So people who have an overinflated sense of importance of the groups they belong to, but at the same time feeling that those groups are underappreciated, those kind of feelings as well draw people towards conspiracy theories, especially conspiracy theories about their groups. So in having those sorts of beliefs, you can maintain the idea that your group is good and moral and upstanding, whereas others are evildoers and they are out trying to ruin it for everyone else. So I think the social one for me is a little bit more, it's more to show that you know what is going on, or, you know, you've got the answer. And maybe also what I found is I have people who told me things and I could see it's just because they're trying to figure out what is going on. That doesn't necessarily make them maybe narcissistic or self-important. I think it's just once again another reason for maybe why people gravitate towards it. Okay, so why do we believe in it? So this I found interesting. People use cognitive shortcuts, largely unconscious rule of thumbs, to make decisions faster, to determine what they should believe. So, and people experiencing anxiety or a sense of disorder, those who crave cognitive closure, may even be more reliant on those cognitive shortcuts to make sense of the world. A recent poll found that 50% of Americans reported increased stress during the pandemic amid the unease. It is not surprising that we are seeing a spike in conspiracy theory. So that 50% increased stress, and I'm sure we can make that applicable all over the world. I remember last year when this thing started, I mean, it was so weird and chaotic and crazy. I'm not surprised that people try to figure out what the hell is going on here. So researchers found that people who feel insecure in their relationships and who tend to catastrophize life's problems are more prone to believing in conspiracy theories. And then again, I found this very interesting because I do know someone in my life that's very, everything is a catastrophe, everything is a drama. And that particular person actually don't believe in conspiracy theories at all. So I literally think it depends. Maybe they're also talking about the majority of people. But yeah, so anyway, the answer is the social part, to just maybe alleviate your stress. All right, and then they go back to the narcissists. So be careful of the narcissists. And remember, a true narcissist don't have empathy, so they really don't care how you feel when they've carried over the message. So does narcissism play in the belief of conspiracy theories? So people who tend to be more narcissistic also believe in theories as a means of getting the social capital. So it's linked to the idea of a need for uniqueness. The person is in possession of information that other people don't have. They're different to other people and makes them stand apart. But yes, narcissism at an individual level has been associated in quite a few studies now with belief in conspiracy theories. I would also imagine, because a true narcissist don't really worry like the normal person. They worry about themselves, yes, but they don't have that worry like the healthy normal person. So they may believe in it and it wouldn't affect them the way that it may affect me and you. So those people could maybe even be spreading it, or maybe make it more dramatic, because they don't have the sleepless nights like a normal person does. So I do feel for the person that just is on the receiving end of the story and may even entertain it because they don't know where to go to. So, but just keep an eye out that you don't get bombarded with information that you don't have control over and that you really don't have to entertain right now. There is narcissism at group level as well. So an overinflated sense of importance of the group. All right, so of course you get individual level or narcissism and group level. But let's look at the consequences. This is very, very interesting. So researchers have investigated the belief in conspiracy theories. Researchers have investigated belief in the AIDS conspiracy theory. The belief was that AIDS was created by the US government to kill homosexuals and African Americans and attitudes toward condom use. Now, I remember that there was also quite a lot of conspiracy theories in South Africa. So this is just in America. But now research has shown that the more strongly African American males believe in this conspiracy, the less favorable their attitude towards condom use are. And in turn, the less likely they are to use condoms. So there is evidence that these beliefs led to distrust of the research institutions and are a significant barrier to getting African Americans to participate in AIDS clinical trials. So that would be a negative consequence of a conspiracy theory. So I know that there's been lots of conspiracy theories with regards to HIV and AIDS, but this would be one of the negative consequences of it. All right. And then Professor Douglas, who found that people who were exposed to anti-government conspiracy theories were less likely to want to vote, and that those who read information refuting conspiracy theories. In a similar study, she found that people who read about climate change conspiracy theories versus those who read anti-conspiracy material and those who read no material about climate change expressed less intention to take action to reduce their carbon footprint. So can you see what happens is, like, for example, if you discard climate change, then you may actually do a little bit more harm than good. That would be the consequence of a conspiracy theory. In another investigation, she found that reading about anti-vaccine conspiracy theories reduced people's intentions to vaccinate compared to those who viewed arguments refuting conspiracy theories or those who read no material about vaccines. All right, and in each case, conspiracy theories decreased social engagement because they left people feeling powerless, and there is also some evidence that conspiracy theories might influence people without them knowing it. Now, I know that this is true because I do know about people still today, at this current moment in time where we are now, do not leave their house. So, I know you want to stay safe, and that is your choice. You can do what you want, but I do think if you can broaden your knowledge about what is going on and just find out about more that is going on, to just stop your social engagement to such an extent, I think it's quite dramatic. But then again, you can do whatever it is that you want that makes you feel safe. But I do know of people who at this stage don't leave their house at all. So this is just important for me so that you can see the consequence of a conspiracy theory, especially if you really don't know, and then act on it as if it is an absolute true fact. Okay, now this is something you will find interesting because this trust doesn't happen in a vacuum. There's a reason why people make up conspiracy theories, because there has been some dodgy things going on. Now, this is a study. Such distrust did not develop in a vacuum. Starting in 1932 and continuing for 40 years, the U.S. Public Health Service, working with the Tuskegee Institute, studied the effect of syphilis on 399 African-American men. So the researchers conducting the Tuskegee syphilis study withheld treatment and allowed more than 100 men to die despite the discovery of penicillin as a standard cure in 1947. So it is clearly worth noting that governments do at least occasionally conspire against their own citizens. So these things doesn't just happen from nowhere. I mean, so it means that some of these things do happen. So there was a study where they treated people. They probably wanted to experiment and see what happens in certain cases, and therefore they withheld penicillin. So it does happen. So that's why the skepticism, a little bit of skepticism is good. You don't have to just jump in which either boat ever you want to. So some level of healthy skepticism is undoubtedly important for individuals, and citizens cannot be expected to agree with everything that they are told. Some conspiracy theories may even be useful in allowing people to question social hierarchies and discover new information for examination and discussion. But many conspiracy theories seem to be dangerously subversive, undermining people's confidence in established positions on topics such as climate change and vaccinations. They appear to threaten the social system that people rely upon and encourage inaction where it cannot be afforded. But the question remains, why are conspiracy theories so appealing to so many people? So we have answered that question in I think from a psychological point as good as we can. It is probably for the most part to gain back some control. Why is this happening? Why has this happened to me? All right. You must please put if you have any questions, you must put that in the question section there. So, but let's look at how you can do more proper research for yourself. So let's say become a critical news consumer. So firstly, determine what type of article you are reading. So we know what we do is we start Googling stuff, and we most of the information that we get probably or Facebook, everything is mostly probably online. So you have control over that. Although the internet may be driving you or pushing you into certain directions, you can still take control back and read what it is that is really important for you. So let's look at the first one. Determine what type of article you are reading. Is it an editorial or an opinion piece? This is very important because opinions are all over the internet. So these articles reflect the author's personal beliefs and point of view. Untrustworthy sources can blur the line between reporting the facts and expressing opinions. So be sure to read carefully. And then lateral reading. So verify what you are reading by leaving that site and looking up the information on other sites. So this is the best way that you can do any form of research. You need to find different sources that says the same thing. Just because one source says it does not make it the truth. If you can find the same type of saying across the board, it means that it's been verified. Is the general consensus agreeing with the original resource, or are you finding conflicting reports? Not only research the content, but look up the author and publisher to see if they are all considered a reputable site. So I found it very interesting with all the drama with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. When you look up the stories that's being told, the different opinions and stories that you read, where there is allegations that the monarchy is communally narcissistic, and then there's people saying, no, Meghan Markle shows narcissistic traits. If you look at who says what, you can already start filtering who is a little bit more accurate, who knows more about the topic than just random general people talking. So that was for me a very, very interesting thing. So whenever you read up on that as well, and I know some of you maybe because it's so interesting at the moment, it depends on who is writing the article. Where does the background, the science come from? That is what you want to know. And you want to compare various specialists or psychologists or whoever, people with proper education that's commenting on it, to diagnose if they're even able to do so online. So make sure that you get verifications. So not only research the content, but look up the author and the publisher to see if they are considered a reputable site. So pop your filter bubble. This one is very important. People can unintentionally surround themselves with others and information sources that shares their perspective. Social media algorithms perpetuate this problem by tracking stories you like and people you follow. So they will fill your feed with ads and stories that you are already inclined to agree with and like. That's why if you are, say, in Meghan Markle's favor, there will be more comments and stories that will automatically pop up backing her. So make sure that you don't just go research the one way. The tendency to believe in information and stories you already agree with is called confirmation bias. So it's the same with the conspiracy theory. If you already have in your mind an opinion, make sure that you give all the other information a chance as well. You can pop your filter bubble and lose your confirmation bias by visiting sites with different opinions and biases. It is very important that you do this. This you can do with any type of research that you're doing. Another tip that you can do, look into opposing views. So look into sources that normally do not check or that hold opposing viewpoints to your own. You cannot defend a position without understanding the contradicting views. All right, and then look into the editorial staff. News sources must hold themselves accountable for the information that they provide. One way they do that is by hiring a diverse and qualified editorial staff. A diversified staff allows a news source to check and balance their stories to make sure the information they are reporting is unbiased. Sources with an editorial staff like this demonstrate respect for the reader and a desire to provide a quality service. You should be able to research those editors to find more information about their backgrounds and their beliefs. So you'll be able to track later on who is speaking about which topics online, who's credible and who's not. Don't just listen to anyone. Everyone now can make a YouTube video, and if they make enough, they make money off it. So just double check your sources. Find the original sources. Many fake or biased sites use previously published stories that have been edited and manipulated to fit their biased views. So look for those original articles and determine the true context. This is also very helpful when it comes to quotations. Quotes can be easily manipulated by dropping leading sentences and using them out of context. That we know happens a lot, where the conversation is this long, but you take a snippet this short and you make that applicable, and it doesn't give you the whole context. Once again, if you look at the Meghan Markle, Prince Harry story about the context of a particular topic, they go on and on about the context. So share responsibly. This goes beyond just not sharing news stories until you have determined that they are genuine, but also not sharing fake news. So make sure that you don't just forward stuff. That is the way that the story spread. Even though it's upsetting to you, if you send it to forward it to maybe 10 other people because you want to warn them, your intention is good, your motivation is a good one behind this. Just make sure that you know a little bit more about it before spreading it, because it could be upsetting for absolutely no good reason. So when you share a piece of fake news, you are raising its publicity and advertisement revenue. So remember, the advertising revenues behind it is massive. So there's quite a lot of money that's behind this thing. All right, and then the last few tips that I have for you, beware of native advertising. Native advertisements are designed to look like the rest of the page, but are actually paying for their content to be displayed. They are trying to get readers to mistake their links as legitimate news to get more traffic to their site. So, most of these stories that get spread, there's a different motive behind it. So don't fall for it and just forward things to family and friends because you're actually doing someone else a favor and it's not even about the topic that you are looking at. Check out the Contact Us page. So trustworthy news sites will provide information about their organization, provide a clear way to contact them. They should be transparent and forthright with this information. So fake sites will try to hide this information or provide false contact numbers and emails. Test the numbers or look up the address if you are still unsure. This is a very, very easy, good way to double check some sites. And then check out the author. Look at the reporter's byline. Does anything stand out as odd? Look into it. You should be able to access at least a brief biography for the reporter. And then check out the ads. This is the easiest thing to do. A profusion of pop-up ads, advertisements for items or services that seem Out of touch with the story or highly provocative or erotic advertisements can be a warning sign. So whenever we are flooded with adverts, know that it's not a very credible source. So I would suggest, when you do your research, to be very, very critical and try to be as unbiased as you possibly can. Know that you have your own opinion and viewpoint, and you can read up, research as much as you can. My whole viewpoint of conspiracy theories is that I truly do not have control over it. If the Chinese have engineered something, or if the Americans are busy with some conspiracy against the world or whatever, there's quite a few stories, even on South African level, about why we had lockdowns. That's purely something that I do not have control about over. So from a psychology point of view, what I advise people is, if you don't have control over it, leave the thought. Do not let it bug you in your life and upset you, because there is absolutely nothing that you can do about it. So that is why it was very important for me to share this with you today, to make sure that you become a critical news consumer, that you read up on things. If you do hear stories from people, don't just absorb it. You also don't have to start a conflict about it, because some people may cling to it because it may make them feel better. I would like actually some of you to share with me on the screen whether you believe some of these stories and whether it actually makes you feel better or worse. I would really like to know, because in my personal opinion, I told you before, it makes me feel worse. So we are finished with today's the psychology behind conspiracy theories. So please share with me any questions that you have around this, and if there's anything that you would like to know, what it is that you can do, where it comes with maybe even managing your children or other family members, or situations where it's caused conflict. I know about some situations where the conspiracy, the different beliefs have created some conflict, and which is actually unnecessary, because we have enough stress as it is already. So the biggest tool that you have is all the information that you have at hand, and you do have massive amounts of information that you can filter through, but do not just believe the first thing that you say. It could even be a good thing for you to temporarily suspend your social media if you feel that it is a little bit better for you at this point. This is something that I did last year. I just felt like we were bombarded with people's feelings and opinions. And I know that it was feelings because people were unsure about, what was going on. But if that drives you nuts, just switch it off for a little bit. Just go silent for a while. And if you need concrete information, research something that is from credible sources. And if you don't have the answer, you don't have the answer. You don't have to have the answer. I think that is the biggest message that I wanted to convey today. Is I wanted to make sure that people understand that they don't need to have closure and they don't need to have an answer. Because if the Chinese engineered a virus here where I'm sitting down, there's nothing I can do about it. Then if that happened, then so be it. That is just how it is. So, all right. So please share your comments with me on the screen below. If any one of you wants some more information on the motives, the psychological motives behind conspiracy theories, we will forward you this piece. We can go back to that quickly. And remember that I'm not saying that it is just people with weird personalities or people with that's more pathological that believes in it. All of us hear it. All of us believe maybe in it to a certain extent. The biggest thing that I just wanted you to do is that you don't have to hold on to things if you are uncertain about it. You don't have to entertain it if you don't want to. And remember that the psychology behind it is the epistemic motive, and that is literally just the need for certainty. The existential motive is that people want to feel safe and secure. And then there is the social need where people want to feel good about themselves. They actually want to tell people that they know what's going on. So I think for the most part, people are more worried about why this has happened. And then secondly, what makes them feel safe and secure. All right, so we will forward you this this piece if you want to read up about this more. And there is actually another piece that it is something that you can, I'm actually going to try and find you the link. It is a piece that I found online. It is an interview that was conducted with Oprah Winfrey in 2006 or 2007. And one of the world-renowned virologists, these guys that are absolute experts on pandemics and viruses, she had an interview with him in 2006 where they said that the pandemic, the next pandemic will inevitably, whether we like it or not, it's going to be a type of bird flu, and it's inevitable. It will come. It's going to come every about 50 years. We had a very big one in 1917-16, and then we had a few small ones in between, and this is the next big one. That interview actually made me feel pretty good. So everyone in the interview was quite stressed, and they said, this makes them worry because we've got no control. But I actually thought, well, for me, if these things just come around and it comes and it goes, I'm happy with that. I can live with that. Try and find, if you Google that, it's an Oprah Winfrey interview with pandemic experts in virology, and I found that incredibly informative. Okay, perfect. So if no one else has got any questions, then this is it from us today. Please share a question online with me if you want to know anything. I would actually like to know if this affects your stress management at all. So please let me know if there's anyone that feels that conspiracy theories actually makes him stress more. So please put it in the Q&A and we can address that. And no one has got any questions. All right. Is there anyone who would maybe like to know what there is that they can do, or that has got any conflicts at work even? Okay. Thank goodness there's someone that agrees with me. Conspiracy theories makes me more stressed. So thank goodness, because it makes me stress more as well, because I've got absolutely no control of what is going on in the international world or in China, or there's been so many stories that I can actually not even give you one specific example. There was one recently, I heard it from more than one person, where they said that the South African government with the lockdown was actually trying to kill only white businesses. If that had to be true, that is incredibly stressful and worried. I discarded it because I felt like there was absolutely no evidence of it. It doesn't make sense to me. It would also quite be difficult to do that. It would be difficult to eliminate only one race's their business. I don't know how you're going to do that. How would you only target the one without taking out a whole bunch of others? So that is just one of the local ones that I've heard. So and don't let it stress you, because hopefully from what I've read and what I've researched, some of the conspiracy theories are not always based on facts. So there's another comment here. They cause more trauma and distress. Now, even ignorant people get misled. Absolutely. Because, and I like the word that you put there, naive, because if you don't know a lot, and if you don't read a lot and do your own research and get control over your own situation or what you know, it's going to affect you badly. But unfortunately, naive and ignorant people may also help spreading it. That is why last year I just stopped my social media account it was just temporarily, because I could not keep up with the viewpoints. I couldn't. It was all over the place. My emotions were all over the place. Other people's emotions were all over the place. If I said, for example, you must just read a little bit more, or let's just put it into perspective, even people would get angry. That's one thing that you want to do, put it into perspective. So, and remember the one point that I mentioned earlier, uneducated people may fall for it more, not because they are not intelligent, but it's because you may not have learned how to research well, discern between a credible and a non-credible source, and research everything. Because what we do, we just research the one thing, and we don't research everything. So you need to research everything. Even if you don't like it, go look at everything. That is why at this stage, conspiracy theories actually don't faze me. And people who do believe in it actually get angry at me, because it's almost like they want you to confirm it. Maybe that's even a way that they feel better if you confirm in their belief. But I've told some of my family and friends that I'm not interested. I don't want to be rude, but there's nothing I can do about it. So because I can do nothing about it, I really don't want to entertain it. And it's not something here that I can do. I can do something about my immediate surrounding, and that is maybe be creative, generate more work, manage my stress. Those are practical things that I can do. I cannot control China, and I cannot control the virus. So the things that I cannot control, I've left it alone. So there's a lot of things that is out there. I don't actually know who starts them. I would like to know who actually starts it. But and then remember, there may be some things that's got a tinge of truth to it, but for the most part, and even if it is true, it actually doesn't matter, because there's nothing that we can do here where we are. For me at this stage, I can see that the research that I've done about viruses, and that I've read and heard from pandemic experts and virologists, professors in virology, and do yourself a favor and go read what those people say. They say that these things, it comes and goes. They say that a virus is like a tsunami or an earthquake. It will happen. It's always been there, and it will happen. So that's just my own opinion. You may not agree with me on that one, but that is what I'm telling myself to make me feel better. I believe it makes me feel better. So is there anyone else who has a comment on how this makes them feel? My advice would be, do something where you can do something about it. If it does not help to worry or be concerned about something where you've got no control over it. We discussed this in the stress management webinar that we have every now and again. You can keep an eye out for when we've got the stress management webinar again. We do it every now and again. And there we teach you that there's some things that you just don't know. And most of the things is, if you don't know something, you don't worry about it, because you don't know what is going to happen. All right, so it is stressful. Thank you for giving ideas to reduce that stress. Absolutely. Last year, I was bombarded with all of these ideas and things from people, and I literally didn't know which way to go. And then I started researching myself and to find out why people grab onto things and hold onto things. And also, one important point that I want to tell you, people want to be angry at something, especially last year when all of this happened, when the lockdown happened. People were affected financially, emotionally. People lost their jobs. So hectic things happen. Most people want to blame someone and be angry at someone and be negative about it, because that is their way of getting rid of their frustration, their anger, and their stress. So be mindful of the fact that people need someone to throw under the bus, or something or someone under the bus. It is a coping thing, but don't let it affect you, because this is just what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. What has happened last year, it happened. It's already finished. It's over. We're now recovering, and hopefully the recovery will just continue. The other very good information that I got from that Oprah Winfrey interview with this virology expert I'm going to look up the link and I'm going to make sure HR Talk makes it available to all of you. They said that the virus will come and it comes in waves. It takes 2 years, and that's just what it is. So I absolutely loved it. The people, like I said in the interview, were absolutely horrified, and I thought it was great because then I know what's going to happen. I'm going to try and find that link again, and I will make it available. Anyone who gets into contact with me, I will send it to you via email, and you can just make contact with me or with the HR Talk. And I loved it. So I'm going to put my details here at the end. If any of you want to just search us or send me an email, you are more than welcome. And if you need further stress management, please let us know. We can do the stress management course again. Okay, perfect. I think it's about 10 o'clock now. So thank you everyone for linking in. It was very nice doing this talk with you. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.